What's up, my dudes? Got us a little bit of craziness going on here. So, I'm going to try not to actually talk about the thing itself in this video, okay? Because YouTube is getting real crazy about that. You can't really talk about that in videos or they get demonetized. So, I'm not really going to be talking about that thing itself, but I am going to be talking about Supercross getting canceled or postponed or whatever you want to call it because of that thing, okay? And we all know what that thing is. I'm not going to mention it because, like I said before, YouTube's a little bit weird about that. So, but anyways, okay. So, like, you can still make videos on it, but I think they kind of run into, like, a monetization issue when you start really talking about that. So, but either way, so it started with Seattle Supercross, right? Which is supposed to be in, like, 2 or 3 weeks. And that was the first one that got sort of like a postpone for a reschedule or whatever. And then now we've learned that I think a lot of people were thinking Indy was going to be where there was just nobody in the stands, but they were going to still run the race and everything. But now I think it's to the point where Indy is completely, like, you know, canceled and going to have to be rescheduled. My whole sort of thought process with this whole thing is, like, first of all, these big stadiums, you know, it's not like you can just easily reschedule and be like, oh, crap, we couldn't do this event this one day. Let's just do it, you know, 3 or 4 weeks from now. Like, these big stadiums constantly have things already booked for them. Like, you can't just, you know, reschedule stuff. I mean, it's going to be tricky for AMA and Supercross to really reschedule all these races, and depending on how long this goes for, I mean, you could have to reschedule, a handful of or more races. Just imagine trying to, like, reschedule all that in all these stadiums and get all that to, like, work together again and, like, be able to do all the rounds without doing certain rounds before other rounds or whatever. It's going to be a mess and a half, boys. That's all I'm saying. This is crazy. I never thought something like this would really happen, but this is crazy. Like, I couldn't imagine being Tomac or Roxon right now. Just, like, you'd be thinking in your head, like, really? Is this really happening? Come on now. But I don't know what they're going to do. I guess just going to kind of be a play-by-ear thing, but they can't just reschedule the whole, like, second half of the championship. You know what I mean? And it's, if these certain venues, they can't just, completely cancel what would have been scheduled in these places, like when Supercross is trying to reschedule, right? And then also on top of all that, you got Pro Outdoor Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship that starts basically right after Supercross ends. So even if you start pushing all these races to a later date and a later schedule, then you're going to start pushing into the motocross outdoor schedule. It's just going to become a clusterfuck and a half, dog. I mean, that's about all there is to say to it. So I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, it may get to the point where they just end up crowning Tomac. I know that would be terrible and that would be insane, but, like, or they may just end up getting to the point where they just don't crown anybody as the champion. I don't know. I mean, definitely let me know down in the comments what you guys think they're going to do with this whole thing, but this is not looking good, guys. This is not looking good for any sporting event that's in any kind of a stadium or anything like that, and Supercross is no exception, because it's the same sort of thing, right? Got a lot of people crowded up inside an inside stadium, indoor stadium. Some of them are, kind of open stadiums, but especially the indoor ones, man, you just can't do that right now. Like, and I guess you could still bring the racers out there, but that would be so bizarre and so weird, and I just don't think they're really going to do that. I think they're just going to basically fully postpone all the races until this whole thing sort of gets settled and gets figured out. I mean, I just feel like that's about all they can do, but that's the thing. That's going to be so hard to even do that to begin with. Like, just rescheduling one round, I mean, that's a little bit more, like, possible to do that in your head, because I do think there is one race out of the, like 17 rounds of Supercross where they have, like, a 1-week break. If I'm not mistaken, I think there's like 1 week in a break where they could run a makeup race or whatever, but not with them now having to push back and reschedule 2 different rounds, and the fact that we still don't know once we get to the next round after Indianapolis they might have to reschedule that one too. So then we're looking at 3 rounds that are going to have to be rescheduled. All of the people that paid for tickets and having to get refunds, and you know they're probably not going to go to the rescheduled race. I mean, they might, I guess, but some of them will, right? But it's just jacked up the whole system. So I don't know. I do think this whole thing is going to blow over in a month or so. I certainly think the media is sort of making it out to be a little more than what it really is, and I think we all understand that, or at least for the most part we all understand that, minus all the idiots buying all the toilet paper. But yeah, so I don't really think it's like that big of a deal in that sense, but it's just crazy how much it's affecting all these sporting events and, you know, in these stadiums and stuff. Because, like, it's not just like all these different stadiums are just open for whenever Supercross wants to reschedule, right? Like, they have their own crap scheduled for the future and what they're going to do, and all these other events that go on in these stadiums that are also having to be rescheduled because of this. It's just going to turn into a mess, and then trying to get all that done and get the rest of the Supercross Championship done before outdoors without pushing into outdoors. It's going to be crazy because, like, you can't run Supercross while you're running outdoors. You just can't do that. And outdoors starts so quickly after Supercross is done, right? So I have no idea what AMA is going to do about all this. It's going to be like a big decision-making thing. You know, they've started to completely cancel some of these different things, and it's terrible for Supercross because we're just now in the mid part of the season, so we're just deep enough to where it really, like, still matters, and you still got, you know, people in the championship hunt, but you're not, like, right there at the end where they can really just crown somebody, but at the same time, you didn't just start the series either to where it's just like, oh, well, we just won't crown anybody because we're only 1 or 2 races in. Like, we're basically dead nut right down the middle of races. So they're going to have to figure out some way to do this eventually. But it just sucks because it'd be so weird having a Supercross race like in June or some shit. I don't know how they're going to do it, because then you just have to push outdoor national, you know, outdoor motocross, Lucas Oil Pro Motocross, even further back to where you'd have motocross nearly in like fall or something. I don't know. But either way, a little bit of a crazy time going on, but I think it's all gonna be all right. Ain't no sense of really worrying about it or anything. But yeah, I'm gonna keep on making these videos, try to stay up to date with a lot of this stuff, and we'll keep the ball rolling. Sucks not being able to watch Supercross right now, but we'll see what all comes out of it in the future and what they plan on doing. So yeah, appreciate you guys watching all the videos. Later, dudes.